Let me know when to start, okay, sir?
All right, you can begin.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Today, me and my group and I will be presenting on vision and strategic direction, and the members are Azaria Best, Chelsea Stoddard, and myself, Jaylene Lamiel. So let's look at strategic leadership. And let's say in a fast changing world, leaders are changed with a bewildering array of complex and ambiguous information. Top leaders are responsible for knowing the organization's environment and considering what it might be like in 5 or 10 years. Strategic leadership is one of the most critical issues facing organizations. Many are inclined to focus on internal organizations issues rather than strategic activities. Strategic leadership is responsible for the relationship of the external environment to choices about vision, mission, strategy, and their implication. Let's look at the domain of strategic leadership. It is a very clear, compelling image of where organizations want to be in 5 to 10 years. This vision reflects the environment and works in the concert with the company's missions, its cause, values, purpose, and reasons for existence. Leadership vision and what vision does. For organizations, a vision is an attractive, ideal future that is credible, not yet readily attainable. Your vision can incorporate lessons from the past, present realities that must be addressed for your future aspirations. For example, in the 1950s, Sony Corporation wanted to become the company most known for changing the worldwide poor quality image for Japanese products. Since that time, Japanese companies have been known for quality, but in the 1950s, it was an highly ambitious goal that fired people's imaginations and sense of national pride. What vision does? An effective vision serves as a bridge between the present and the future. Inspires and motivates workers towards the future and gives purpose to people's labor. So let's look and talk about a little bit about your personal vision. So let's think about the positive outcomes you would like to achieve in the future. Do you all have personal visions for your lives? So I'm going to ask a series of questions and individually you could think about the answer. So can you describe a compelling image for your future? Is life more exciting than a routine? Have you guys created a very life clear Have you guys created very clear life goals and aims? Do you believe that your personal existence is meaningful? Do you see a reason for being here? Have you discovered your calling in life? Do you feel you have a unique purpose to fulfill? Do you know when you would achieve your purpose? So, creating a personal vision is difficult work for most people. It doesn't happen easily or naturally. A personal vision is just like an organizational vision, in that it requires focus, thought, and effort. So, vision links the present to the future. Vision ties together current events and the organization's aspirations. For example, let's look at the employees at Microsoft, who work hard to develop products that inspire more extensive future uses. Using the slogan, Your potential inspire us to create products that help you reach it. Microsoft employees create software products that help meet current needs, but they also strive to envision and create products that might encourage other broader applications for the future. So, vision energizes people and gathers commitment. When people leave for work, they frequently leave their enthusiasm and vitality at home because there's nothing to motivate them. Generally speaking, people are not eager to commit emotionally only to boost profits. People are willing to dedicate themselves to something truly valuable. Therefore, vision must go beyond the bottom line. For example, let's look at Henry Ford's original vision for his motor company, which says, I will build a motor car for the great multitude. It will be low in price that no man making a good salary will be unable to own one and enjoy with his family the blessings of hours of pleasure in God's open spaces. When I'm done though, everybody will be able to afford one and everyone will have one. The horse will have disappeared from our highways and the automobile will be taken for granted, and we will give many people employment at good wages. Employees were motivated by Ford's vision because they saw an opportunity to make their life better, even for themselves and others. Vision gives meaning to work. When we are working for a greater goal, even though those who perform everyday jobs can take pride in their work. For instance, housekeepers are encouraged to view their to view their employment as more than just like cleaning or like mopping floors. One of the hospital housekeepers said she enjoys her jobs very much. Without cleaning, the hospital won't be able to provide for its patients and eventually go out of business. People are drawn to businesses that provide them with the opportunity to accomplish something worthwhile. In today's job interviews, candidates frequently inquire about the firm vision because they want to know what the company stands for and whether or not they will fit into it. Vision establishes a standard of excellence and integrity. People are liberated from the commonplace by a compelling vision that presents them with a challenge. Most employees are eager to discover how their work fits into the bigger picture. Some visions give problems and challenges people to venture into the uncharted territory. It encourages employees to take chances and discover noble approaches to problems. By highlighting significant ideas, appealing to people's hearts, and enabling them to participate in something greater than themselves, a strong vision brings out the best in people. Let's think about how Walt Disney created a vision of Disneyland that inspired and brought the staff together. The organization's basic beliefs and ideals are made very clear and connected by the vision. Walt Disney created a clear picture of what he wanted Disneyland to be. His vision translated hopes and dreams into words and allowed employees to help create the future. He said he wanted the idea of Disneyland to be a simple one. It would be a place for people to find happiness and knowledge. It would be a place for parents and children to spend pleasant times in one another's company. A place for teachers and pupils to discover greater ways of understanding and educating. Here, the older generation can recapture the older days gone by, and the younger generation can savor the challenge of the future. A vision can widely heal and frequently develop. You're seeing the screen still?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Motivating image like the one that Walt Disney created can have a significant effect on people. His vision gives the work of others purpose and words. So now I'm going to pass you on to Azaria.
Good day, class, and I'll start reading from Common Themes of Vision. So there are 5 themes that are common to powerful, effective visions, and they have broad, widely shared appeal, they help organizations deal with change, they encourage faith and hope for the future, they reflect high ideals, and they define the organization's destination and the journey. I will now define each theme. Next. First, we have vision has broad appeal. While it may be known that a vision can be achieved only through people, many leaders fail to adequately involve employees in their visions for the organization. The vision cannot be the property of the leader alone. The ideal vision is identified with the organization as a whole, not with a single leader or top leadership team. It grabs people in the guts and motivates them towards a common end. Now, this is something you'll see sometimes taking place in organizations where you would find some leaders that likes to take charge of everything by themselves, like an autocratic leadership. But that approach isn't broad appeal. However, the correct approach in order to have broad appeal in an organization is to have a democratic leadership. Because as was said, vision is identified with everyone as a whole, not with a single leader. Next. Vision deals with change. Visions at work help the organization achieve bold change. Change can be frightening, but a clear sense of direction helps people face the difficulties and uncertainties involved. When employees have a guiding vision, everyday decisions and actions throughout the organization respond in ways that move the organization towards the future. Now, this states, and some can even relate, that sometimes at work you may get things to do that may take you out of your comfort zone, and that can be a bit frightening because everything will be all new to you. It's not stuff that you are accustomed doing on a regular basis. But again, as was said, having a guiding vision, it gives a better understanding of what's needed to be done and how in order to help the organization. Next, vision encourages faith and hope. Vision exists only in the imagination. It is a picture of a world that cannot be observed or verified in advance. Vision is vision is an appeal to our fundamental human needs and desires to feel important and useful, to believe we can make a real change in the world. A powerful, clearly articulated vision helps people believe in a future they cannot see. The future is shaped by people who believe in it, and a powerful vision helps people believe they can be effective. Next, vision reflects high ideals. Good visions are idealistic. Visions that portray an uplifting future have the power to inspire and energize people. For example, let's look at William F. Powers, who worked at NASA during the 1960s, helped Ford Motor Company develop an idealistic vision for the world's first high-volume, aerodynamical style car, the 1980s Taurus. It was a big risk for Ford at the time when the company was down and out, but leaders portrayed it as a chance to save the company and establish a new path in automotive engineering. Now, this example can be inspiring to persons because seeing a company be down and yet still sticking to their vision can have you in awe. They stuck to it regardless and took the opportunity because they saw that developing that car could have helped save their company in some sort of way and even do much better for it. And that shows a great leader. Next. The last theme we would look at is vision defines the destination and the journey. A good vision for the future includes specific outcomes that the organization wants to achieve. It also incorporates the underlying values that will help the organization get there. For instance, a private business school might specify specific outcomes such as top 20 ranking, placing 90% of students in internships, and getting 80% into jobs by their graduating year. In the process, they aim to increase students' knowledge of business, values, and teamwork. Now, you'll find this in the world every day, with everyone wanting to be great and be at the top. But to do so, a proper vision for their journey has to be made in order to reach the required destination. You have to have a plan. Next. A vision works at multiple levels. Most of the visions we have talked about so far are for the company as a whole. However, divisions, departments, and individuals also have visions, which are just as important and powerful. Successful individuals usually have a clear mental picture of their vision and how to achieve it. People who do not have this clear vision of the future have less chance of success. Next. Let's look at these three young Pepperdine University graduates, for example. They started an organization to help other young people find and pursue their personal vision. Now, these three young men traveled the world to find out what they wanted to do with their lives. Armed with a video camera, the three interviewed successful leaders in a wide variety of professions, asking questions such as, when you were our age, what were you thinking? And how did you get to where you are? The answers all boil down to this simple message, says McAllister. Block out the noise and really pave your own road guided by what lights you up. Following their 3-month journey, the three then founded Road Trip Production. It's a project to help other young people experience their own journeys, find their visions, help them be confident, and have the courage to pursue their vision. Next. We now go into mission. Mission is not the same thing as a company's vision. All of the two work together. The mission is the organization's core broad purpose and reason for existence. It defines the company's core values and reason for being, and it provides a basis for creating the vision. Whereas vision is an ambitious desire for the future, mission is what the organization stands for in a larger sense. Next. For instance, let's look at James Collins, who compared Zenith and Motorola to illustrate the importance of a solid organizational mission. The companies were once both successful television makers. Yet while Zenith stayed, Motorola continued to move forward to make cellular phones, microprocessors, and other products. The difference is that Motorola defined its mission as applying technology to benefit the public, not as making television sets. Motorola's mission was to continue propelling, to be greater, not to stay still like Zenith. Next. We now look at what mission does. Whereas visions continue to grow and change, the mission persists in the face of changing technologies, economic conditions, or other environmental shifts. It defines the organization's enduring character, the spirit DNA, and can be used as a leadership tool to help employees find meaning in their work. It serves as the glue that holds the organization together in times of change and guides strategic choices about the future. Typically, the mission is made up of two critical parts: the core values and the core purpose. Both are frequently expressed in the mission statement. I will now show you an example of a mission statement of DuPont, their mission, vision, and values. So their mission is to establish growth to increase shareholder and societal value while reducing our environmental footprint. Their vision is to be the world's most dynamic science company, creating sustainable solutions essential to a better, safer, healthier life for people everywhere. They will be pace setters in improving every aspect of their operations with a total commitment to meeting the needs of their customers in Canada and abroad with continuously improving high value offerings. Their core values: safety, concern, and care for people, protection of the environment, and personal and corporate integrity are their company's highest values, and they will not compromise them. And these are the company's mission, vision, and values. Next, we now look at a framework for noble purpose. An effective mission statement doesn't just describe products or services. It captures people's idealistic motivations for why the organization exists. Most successful companies have missions that proclaim a noble purpose of some type, such as Motorola's applying technology to benefit the public, Mary Kay's to enrich the lives of women, or Walmart stores to give ordinary folks the chance to buy the same things as rich people. Leaders are responsible for framing a noble purpose that inspires and leads followers to high performance and helps the organization maintain a competitive advantage. People like to have a sense that what they are doing matters and makes a positive difference in the world. Next, consider the purpose that inspires employees at Genentech, which topped Fortune magazine's list of the 100 best companies to work for in 2006. Genentech was the world's first biotechnology company. After 29 years, it is the brightest star in the burgeoning industry. The company's more The company's core purpose, which imbues employees with idealism, has a lot to do with its success. The company uses human genetic information to develop medicines for serious and wide-threatening diseases. Employees say they work at the company because it gives them a chance to make a difference. We will now look at some examples of noble purposes used in companies. We first have discovery. Discovery for its own sake can serve as a noble purpose. Many people are inspired by the opportunity to find or create something new. This type of purpose inspires people to see that venture in their work and experience the joy of pioneering or entrepreneurial spirits, says experts. For these two companies, for example, at 3M, researchers are given time to explore ideas and work on their own projects. And at Google, people are energized by the rewards they receive from working on intellectually stimulating and challenging problems. And that's how the discovery is used in those two companies. Next, we now have excellence. With this approach, leaders focus people on being the best, both on an individual and an organizational level. Excellence is defined by the work itself rather than by customers. Indeed, organizations that pursue excellence would rather turn customers away than compromise their quality. In companies with excellence as a guiding purpose, managers and employees are treated as valuable resources and provided with support to perform at their peak. Apple, for instance, has always built high quality, cleverly designed computers, yet it holds less than 5% of the following of the personal computer market. Leaders want to increase their share of the market, but they aren't willing to sacrifice their commitment to high quality and what they consider superior technology. Next, we now have altruism. Many nonprofit organizations are based on the noble purpose of altruism, but businesses can use this approach as well. Recall the example of Service Master from Chapter 6. One of their core values is to treat employees with respect and help low-skilled manual workers see the worth and dignity of their service to society. Any company that puts a high premium on customer service can be considered to fall in this category. The basis of action for this type of purpose is to increase personal happiness. And lastly, we have heroism. It means the company's purpose is based on being strong, aggressive, and effective. Companies with this basis of noble purpose often reflect an obsession with winning. For example, Southwest Airlines was founded with a heroic goal of winning against larger competitors such as American and Delta. For this approach, the basis of actions in people's desire to achieve and to be and to have experience self-efficacy as described in chapter 8. People want to feel capable of being effective and producing results. I'll now turn it over to my group member Chelsea.
Hello class, I'm Chelsea and I will be finishing off this presentation firstly with strategy and action. Although guiding visions and compelling goals that represent a noble purpose are both crucial, they are insufficient on their own to create strong, effective organizations. Organizations must find methods to put their vision, values, and purpose into action if they are to succeed, and strategy plays this function. Creating a strategy is the difficult, serious task of moving in a particular direction in order to achieve organizational goals. A competitively superior fit between the organization and its environment must be achieved through a series of decisions and activities known as strategic management. Finding this fit and putting, putting it into practice are the responsibilities of the leader. Next slide. Moving on to deciding where to go. The overall plan of action that describes resource allocation and other activities for dealing with the environment and assists the organization in achieving its goals is classified as a strategy. Leaders formulate strategy by asking questions such as, where is the organization now? What is the organization's goals? What are the current changes and trends in the competitive market? What actions can we take to help us achieve our vision? Developing an effective strategy involves actively listening to people both inside and outside the organization, as well as investigating trends and discontinuities in the environment that can be used to gain an advantage. Rather than reacting to environmental changes, strategic leaders examine past events and act in preparation of what the future may hold. An example is Progressive Insurance, which was the first to offer rate quotes online. Other companies had the same information about the growth of personal computers and the internet, but they didn't interpret it in the same way or formulate the same strategy for taking advantage of the new technology. Good leaders anticipate, look forward, and prepare for the future based on trends they see in the environment today, which often requires radical thinking. The Leaders Bookshelf describes the Oakland A's baseball team's successful use of radical thinking. We will get to that in a minute. Though innovative thinking is a desirable trait in a leader, it is a risky endeavor. Leaders may have to change their strategy several times before they get it right. Furthermore, a strategy must evolve over time to adapt to changing environmental conditions. Leaders develop strategic strategies that focus on three qualities to increase their chances of success: core competence, developing synergy, and creating value for customers. Next slide. What is core competence, you may ask? The core competence of an organization is something that the organization excels at in comparison to competitors. Leaders attempt to identify the organization's strengths and what distinguishes it from others in the industry. To put it into perspective, LL Bean achieves success by focusing on its core competencies of excellent customer service and quality assurance. A customer can return an item at any time for a refund or exchange, with no questions asked. A manager approached a young boy with his mother and commented that his LL Bean jacket was frayed at the sleeves and collar. The manager responded, "That shouldn't happen. We need to replace it for you." The mother commented that it was the man they were surprised the manager was given how much he had worn it. The manager said that. Oh, next slide. Moving on to synergy. Synergy occurs when organizational parts interact to produce a joint effect that is greater than the sum of parts acting alone. As a result, the organization may attain a special advantage with respect to cost, market power, technology, or employee skills. One way companies gain synergy is through partnerships. North General Hospital, a small community hospital in Harlem that caters mostly to the poor and elderly, had lost money every year since it was founded in 1979 until 2005. One leaders focused on a new strategy that included an alliance with Mount Sinai's Medical Center, one of New York City's most prominent teaching hospitals. In return for an annual fee, North General uses Mount Sinai's physicians and surgeons who perform highly specialized procedures and treat specific diseases that affect African Americans at high rates. The deal boosts revenue for Mount Sinai as well and brings in more patients because North General acts as a referral service for patients with complex medical issues. Next slide. Value can be defined as a combination of benefits received and costs paid by the customer. Delivering value to the customer is at the heart of strategy. Next slide. Strategy formulation. The process of formulating a strategy involves fusing the company's core competencies with knowledge of the environment, vision, and mission in order to generate synergy and add value to customers. When these factors are combined, the business has a great chance of winning in a cutthroat market. However, in order to do this, leaders must make sure that plans are put into practice. Next slide. Another great example of strategy is from Moneyball, The Art of Winning an Unfair Game by Michael Lewis. Billy Bean successfully turned undervalued baseball players, many of them deemed unfit for the big leagues, into one of the major league's most successful franchises. You may ask how? Simply, he did it by having different visions than the rest of organizations. Billy's unique vision and strategy built one of the major league's baseball winning teams with one of its smallest budgets. Unlike successful teams such as the New York Yankees, which can afford to lavish millions on high-profile free agents, Bean looks for the hidden talents amongst unwanted or undiscovered players. Next slide. Bean's skill at finding baseball's hidden gems came from his own rocky experiences as a big league outfielder, where he learned that there's more to being a good ball player than raw talent. The other part is his unique vision and strategy for fielding a baseball team. Here are some of Bean's guiding principles. The first one is buy low and sell high. Bean and his managers looked for players at all levels, from high school and college to minor and major leagues, who are undervalued by others. When other managers don't see a player's potential, Bean can swoop in and get him for a bargain. Then he has the discipline and sense of timing to trade a player once he's turned into a star who is highly desired by other teams. Bean picks up several new low-cost players with combined talents that roughly equal that of a player traded. Second is forget the traditional measures. In choosing players, Bean makes much greater use of sophisticated statistical analysis than other general managers, and he looks at different measures. For example, he favors stats such as on-base percentage over batting average. Bean believes the ability to get on base even with a walk is a valuable long-term asset, whereas traditional measures such as batting average or base steals may mean nothing over the long haul. Lastly, we have the stats always rule. Scouting is the emphasis in Oakland. Other managers sometimes reject a player because he doesn't look like a major leaguer, but not Bean. If the statistics say an overweight college catcher that nobody else wants should be a number one draft pick, Bean goes for it. One player was signed on without anyone from the A's ever seeing him. Thinking radically was one of the tools being used to spot high potential players. Though these methods have been around for years, they are mostly used by amateur baseball enthusiasts, software engineers, statisticians, Wall Street analysts, lawyers, and physics professors, etc. In conclusion, he saw that traditional yardsticks of success for players were fatally flawed, and by thinking differently and paying attention to obscure numbers, Bean has built a highly successful organization. Next slide. deciding how to get there. Strategy is put into action through specific mechanisms, techniques, or tools that direct organizational resources towards strategic goals. This is a fundamental architecture for how the organization operates. Strategy implementation is the most important and difficult aspect of strategic management, and the leaders must carefully and consistently manage the implementation process in order to achieve results. According to one recent survey, only 57% of responding firms reported that managers successfully implemented new strategies developed over the previous 3 years. Research has also shown that 70% of all business strategies never get implemented, reflecting the complexity of strategy implementation. Strategy implementation involves using several tools or parts of the organization that can be adjusted to put strategy into action. Follower support for the strategic plan is essential for successful implementation. People who feel trust in their leaders and a commitment to the organization are typically more supportive of strategy and put in more effort. An example of using leadership in strategy implementation, the manager of a department store might implement a strategy of better customer service by pumping up morale, encouraging greater interaction with customers. Strategy is also implemented through organizational elements such as a structural design, pay or reward systems, budget allocations. Leaders are responsible for making decisions on changes in structure, systems, policies, and so forth to support the company's strategic direction. Applebee's Neighborhood Grill and Bar in Mankato, Minnesota, Lisa Hofferbert implemented a strategy of increased sales by budgeting for newspaper and radio ads, asking customers to help the store break a sales record. Next slide. Moving on to making strategic decisions. Leaders make decisions every day, some large, some small, that support company strategy. Exhibit 13.7 provides a simplified model for how leaders make strategic decisions and whether a particular choice will have a high or low strategic impact on the business, and if implementation of the decision will be easy or difficult. A change at both produces a high strategic impact and is easy to implement would be a leader's first choice for putting strategy into action. For example, leaders at Payless Shoe Stores have shifted their strategy to appeal to young, fashion-conscious women with trendier shoes at reasonable prices. It made a $12 shoe look like a $20 shoe, says CEO Matt Rubble. One of the first steps leaders took was to give the store a new look. The tall crowded wire racks have been replaced with low countertops and displays arranged by fashion rather than by size. It's too early to tell if Payless's move into fashion is a success, but the redesign of the store is already having a big strategic impact. Leaders frequently initiate major changes despite the risk and difficulties because the potential strategic payoff is very high. Some strategic decisions, however, are much more difficult to implement. For example, pursuing growth through mergers and acquisitions can present difficulties in blending production processes and corporate cultures. Structural reorganizations, such as a shift to horizontal teams or breaking a corporation into separate divisions, are another example of high-risk decisions. Next slide. the leader's contribution. Leaders are ultimately responsible for establishing direction through vision and strategy. When leadership fails to provide direction, organizations flounder. Eastern Mountain Sports, for instance, was founded as a sporting goods store selling serious gear for serious outdoor enthusiasts. In recent years, leaders have decided to spur growth by appealing to a broader array of customers. EMS lost most of its core customers and became nothing more than a fuzzy also ran in the outdoor retail industry. Since Will Manza came in as a CEO, he has been striving to provide EMS with more coherent and focused strategic direction. Next slide. Simulating action and vision. People keep moving forward because they have hopes and dreams for the future. However, for leaders who truly make a difference, they must connect their dreams with strategic action. A vision must be translated into a specific goal, objective, and plan. An old English churchyard saying applies to organization as it does to life. Life without a vision is drudgery. A vision without action is but an empty dream, and action guided by vision is joy and the hope of the world. Exhibit 13.8 illustrates four possibilities of leadership in providing direction. Four types of leaders are described based on their attention to vision and attention to action. The leader who is all action and little vision is a doer. To be an effective leader, one must both dream big and transform those dreams into specific strategic action. Next slide. I think we all know who this is, Mr. Steve Jobs, former co-founder and CEO of the successful company Apple. Next slide. Steve Jobs transformed Apple from a personal computer manufacturer into a dominant force in the digital entertainment business with the creation of the sleek, stylish iPod and the iTunes Music Store, changing the rules of the game in consumer electronics, entertainment, and software. In 2009, Steve Jobs decided to get into the retail business in order to increase visibility and sales. He hired Ron Johnson, a fast-track Target executive, to help create a store, an experience that would be a physical embodiment of the Apple brand. Jobs' vision broke all the standard rules about computer retailing. He wanted to sell digital experiences, not just products. Most employees are not there to sell, but rather to provide free help on how to use Macintosh computers, iPods, Apple software, and accessories. Staff are paid on salary rather than commission, so they don't feel pressure to push products. Revenue for each square foot at Apple stores last year was $2,489 compared to $971 at Best Buy. Apple is a huge computer and electronics chain. Stores are buzzing with people checking email, browsing the web, or listening to music. Steve Jobs felt with every bone in his body that Apple had to do retail. In order to meet its strategic goals, says Ron Johnson, former Target executive. Johnson is now Senior Vice President for Retail Operations at Apple. Observers credit Jobs with the vision and with the smarts to hire a talented retailer like Johnson to help him achieve it. Next slide. To determine strategic direction for the future, leaders look inward, outward, and forward. Leaders scan both the internal and external organizational environment to identify trends, threats, and opportunities for the organization. Organizations need both a broad and inspiring vision and an underlying plan for how to achieve it. Situation analysis, for example, includes a search for SWOT, which stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Industry foresight is based on trends in technology, demographics, government regulation, values, and lifestyles. Another formula often used is a five-force analysis developed by Michael Porter, who studied a number of businesses. Porter's analysis shows that strategy is often the result of five competitive forces such as potential new entrants into an industry or the threats of substitute products. Vision and strategy have to be based on a solid factual foundation, but too much rationality can get in the way of creating a compelling vision. Successful visions also reflect their personal experiences and understanding. When leaders rely solely on formal strategic planning, competitor analysis, or market research, they miss new opportunities. When Ted Turner first talked about launching a 24-hour news and information channel in the 1970s, many dismissed him as delusional. Yet Turner looked at emerging social and demographic trends, listened to his intuition, and launched a global network that generates 35% of its revenue from advertising. Vision can transcend the rational because it is based on reality. It comes from the heart rather than the head, and it connects with people's yearning for something great. Foresight and the ability to see future possibilities emerge not just from traditional strategic planning tools and formulas, but from curiosity, instinct, and intuition, emotions, deep thinking, personal experiences, and hope. Next slide. The leader's impact. When leaders link vision and strategy, they can make a real difference for their future. As much as 44% of the variance is profit, profitability of major companies made to be attributed through strategic leadership. Research has shown that strategic thinking and planning for the future can positively affect a company's performance and financial success. One way a leader's impact has been evaluated is by examining whether top executive turnover makes a difference. Studies of 167 corporations studied over a 20-year period and a large sample of Methodist churches have found that turnover was associated with improved profits and stock prices. When research has been carefully done, top leader succession typically explains from 20% to 45% of the variance in organizational outcomes. More recent research has explored the notion of top leadership teams as opposed to individual executives. A team provides diverse aptitudes and skills to deal with complex organizational situations. Many researchers believe the configuration of the top leadership team to be more important for success than the characteristics of a single CEO. Size, diversity, attitudes, and skills of the team affect patterns of communication and collaboration, which in turn affect company performance. The emerging focus on teams is more realistic in some ways than focusing on individual leadership. In a complex environment, a single leader cannot do everything. An executive team may have a better chance of identifying and implementing a successful strategy. A company may not adapt readily to change in a shifting environment. Without a capable and effectively interacting top leadership team. Though research in the area of leadership impact is still relatively limited, it does seem to affirm the belief that choices leaders make have a significant impact on an organization's performance. Next slide. Okay, so to summarize everything, through vision and strategy, leaders establish organizational direction. They are in charge of studying the organization's environment and considering how it might change in the future, establishing a direction in which everyone can believe in. The shared vision for the organization is an appealing, ideal future that is credible but not easily attainable. A clear, powerful vision connects the present and the future by demonstrating how current actions and decisions can help the organization achieve its long-term goals. The vision can also give work meaning and establish a standard of excellence by posing a challenge that encourages all employees to put their best foot forward. The mission includes the company's core values as well as its primary purpose or reason for existence. Future vision change, but the mission should not, as it reflects the organization's enduring character. Effective leaders articulate a noble purpose that inspires followers while also assisting the organization in maintaining a competitive advantage. Leaders can base their purpose on one or four basic concepts: discovery, excellence, altruism, or heroism. A strategy is a broad plan of action that describes resource allocation and other environmental activities. Strategy, like vision, evolves, but successful businesses develop strategies that focus on core competencies, foster synergy, and create value for customers. Strategy is carried out through the system and structures that serve as a foundation for how things are done in an organization. Leaders make decisions based on rational analysis, intuition, personal experience, and hope and dreams. Leaders make a genuine leaders make a genuine difference in their organization only when they connect vision to strategic action, making the vision more than a pipe dream. Superior organizational performances is determined by the decision leaders make, not by chance. Next slide. Okay, so since we're at the end of the presentation, I would like to give everyone to answer two simple questions, keeping in mind of what we learned today. So question one is, if you worked for a company like Apple or Google, or any club or organization that has a strong vision for the future, how would that affect you compared to working for a company that did not have a vision? Okay, so for me personally, if I worked for a huge company, I'm sorry for my voice, I know I'm sounding terrible. If I work for a huge company that would clear on their missions and goals for the future, bonus if their mission is something that aligns with my values as well, it would make me feel more grounded and excited to work for them, knowing they have clear goals that I would be happy to contribute to, rather than working for some organization that didn't know what they were doing, don't do anything to empower their employees, etc. You most likely wouldn't even want to go to work because there's no passion or goal, considering you're working so hard. All right, the second question is, a vision can apply to an individual, a family, a college course, a career, or even decorating an apartment. Think of something you care about for which you want the future to be different from the present. I saw someone raise their hand just now.
I had raised my hand for the first question. I was just going to say that I'd be proud to be part of the company, and I'll definitely feel more motivated to work.
Yeah. Anybody want to try answering the second one? Okay, so if nobody want to answer the second one, I guess I will give my personal answer. Okay, so a vision can apply to an individual, a family, or even decorating an apartment. Think of something you care about for which you want the future to be different from the present. Okay, so for me, I'm an artist. I draw and I paint and have a clear vision for what I want my art career to look like moving forward. And I know all the steps I have to take in order for that vision to become reality. So right now in the present, I haven't had time to draw or practice my skill. And right now I know I need to draw every single day in order for my vision to look like how it is in my head. For example, selling my art online or something. But in order to do that, I need to create an interesting portfolio. So that's my vision. Jolene, you could go on to the next slide to show we references. Right. Thank you. I guess that's the end of the presentation.